بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Another lecture in writing a research paper or methods of research. We had an introduction about writing a research paper, the background, the introductions, and how do we prepare for this a process. We'd like to have now we'd like to pay attention to one of the major components of writing a research paper, which is the problem. Because if you don't have a problem, then you don't have a research paper. Problem decides that this research is good or bad. So normally on the undergrad level, our research papers vary to be low quality papers because we do not highlight or address important problems or persisting problems that exist now. In literature, we normally tend to repeat like ideas or to highlight things that have been highlighted before. So, and now we'd like to learn something new in order to come out with something, let's say, good, something with some high significance. So this could be done by addressing a good problem, because it is the first, let's say, the first foundation on which we build our own paper. A problem generally is, let's say, a problem is a situation that needs a solution, and for which there are possible solutions. So what is a problem? In any research paper, let's talk about literature, for example, or linguistics. There is, for a literary text, a problem means something that needs to be researched and it has been overlooked so far. Nobody has paid any attention to that issue. Let's say we can use equivalence between a problem and gap in terms of literary studies. In literature, we do not propose solutions, or we do not present solutions for big problems. This happens in the scientific fields of studies. But here we only observe. Literary studies are only observations. We observe that there is a phenomenon here. We observe that this writer is trying to highlight some problem which has not been discussed earlier. This writer is reflecting something that takes place in the society, and we need to address that thing and present it to the public. So this is what we do. In linguistics, we have, let's say, more problematic issues, like for example, in phonetics, we have variations of a pronunciation between in dialects or in accents from city to city, how people pronounce this, how this community pronounce this issue. So this is in terms of phonetics, and likewise in other branches of linguistics like discourse, semantics, and other fields. So the problem is, in short words, is something that needs to be researched, something that needs to be highlighted, which has not been highlighted before. We try to underline this line, which has not been highlighted or researched before. If we try to do something again and again and again, then this is not a research. It's only a compilation of papers and words. If a situation has no possible solutions, then it makes little or no sense expending resources researching it. So why we do this research if we have no possible solutions? Look at this writer has proposed an example. Take this statement: everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. So there is no possible solution. Dying looks like a problem that needs a solution, yet there is no solution for this because nobody wants to die. So this is how we should address a problem, or how we should consider it. So this is a research problem. A problem may be described as an incongruous, a discrepancy, تفاوت, or something that it does not look in its place. شيء يعني خلينا نقول ليس في محله. between what is and what ought to be. It may be also described as the gap, as I said earlier. So the research problem is the gap that will be filled by conducting our research and proposing solutions. Problem statement as the major part of our research paper. It comes next to the background. Look at this table of contents for any research paper. It starts with a background of a study, which includes a reference to literature review, like 2 or 3 reviews on the undergraduate level I'm talking. And then comes the statement of the problem. What is the problem of this research? What is the problem of this text? And then comes the research question, the objectives of the study, the significance, the conceptual, the methodology. And finally, this chapter ends, chapter 1 or section 1. And then we move to the next section and apply this plan. Let's call it a plan to be applied on the next chapter, or in the next chapter, because in the next chapter we have a text in literature, a drama or a novel or a short story, and we have data in terms of linguistics. We have collected some data from interviewing people or doing questionnaires or other issues. So the research problem, then a description of an issue, the problem statement, a description of an issue currently existing which needs to be described, addressed, talked about. It provides the context for the research study and generates questions which the research aims to answer. So this kind of a problem is the focal point, is the major point of the research paper. What are key components of the statement of the problem? The problem itself is stated clearly. What is the exact problem? For example, in hard times, we have the role of women in the Industrial Revolution or in the Victorian society have not been described or addressed enough in studies. The writer tries to highlight the role of women and how they have been mistreated, humiliated, or being preyed upon, or have been revealed as objects. So this kind of a gap has not been discussed in research papers earlier, and I want to fill that gap. This could be the problem. Then the method of solving the problem, later to be applied in talking about the problem, and the purpose statement and of objective and the scope of the project. Let's focus on only this one for our limited level. These should be brief so that the reader does not get lost. يعني the problem عادة تكون, let's say, 5 lines or 6 lines for the undergraduate level. For masters or PhDs, it could be a page or a page and a half, يعني no more than that, in order to keep things straight and direct. What kind of criteria we have for research problem statement? Well, the problem should clearly indicate what is to be investigated, and the actual statement may be in a declarative or in a question form. يعني sometimes the problem could be expressed in a question. I'll show you some samples later. And sometimes it could be a declarative statement. The statement should indicate the variables. This is for some other field we can discuss later. Where does a problem statement originate from? منين تجينا problem statement? Personal experience and interest of researchers من خلال تجربة شخصية. For example, I have watched a movie in 2012 and some ideas have captured my attention in that movie, and I started researching about that that novel which is pictured into a movie, and I have written a research paper. I will show you the abstract later. So this could be the personal experience we talk about. Various theories in the discipline of the researcher. You might be attracted by a kind of theory like post-colonial, like destructive, like eco-criticism, like so many theories we care about. So you are interested in a theory and you want to apply a theory to a text that this text should not have been dealt with from that perspective earlier. So it could be a new, or it could be a problem. Related literature, literature review, for example, from one's own area of interest. You read some kind of text or a review of literature on a field or on a group of short stories, and you conclude that, well, there is something to be researched in this area that this literature review have not focused on. So من خلال literature review we can decide, well, there is some particular issue which has been overlooked, which has not been let's say addressed, and I want to address this issue in my own paper. How to write the problem. It implies some questions that your research will be answering. هاي البروبلم includes some questions. من خلال هاي الquestions الريسيرش مالتي راح يدخل للإجابة على هذه البروبلم. When you set up to write a statement problem, you should know that you are looking for something wrong أو something that needs a close attention. يعني doing a research paper on some subject, some researcher acclaimed something and you see that this acclaim is not correct. So you try to correct this vision or propose answers for this problem. So this could be a problem statement, or you try to attract people's attention to something in order to observe it. As I said, in literature we observe, we do not present solutions. The importance of the problem should receive considerable and persuasive attention because it is the focus. Is the problem of current interest? Is this something interesting we need to highlight now, we need to care about? Is it likely to continue in the future? This could be a good problem. Like coronavirus now is an important problem because it is ongoing now and it's continuing in the future. We don't know when it's going to end. So this could be an interesting problem for researchers. That's why they are undergoing a research on this issue. Will more information about the problem have a practical application, etc.? These are some suggestions how to start a problem. Lack of something, lack of X, has existed as health problem for many years, and then you can pursue explaining your problem. However, these rapid changes are having a serious effect on. So look at these words. Pay attention to lack, however, despite. There is an increase in something and this is a disadvantage and we need to do something. Despite, no previous study has investigated this particular issue. This paper will try to look at so and so and so. So this is the problem. So far this method has only been applied to so and so and so. So it has not been applied to many areas and you want to apply it. So this is something new. I have extracted these words these sentences from this link. You can upload it. I will upload it and you can download this file. It's called Academic Phrase Bank. It gives you like the words you need and in which exact field. In the objectives you have some suggestions, and the problem and the significance. So it's very interesting for researchers. You can have a look.